Well, hello, and welcome back to Tim's Brick Adventures. Today we're going to continue with Tim's real-life Western Lego figures. So we left off last week. I was showing you the first figure I made, custom figure. And when I say custom, these figures I'm showing you here today are all actual Lego parts, no stickers, no painting or, any kind of external things being done. They're straight Lego torsos that they make that you can get, legs, faces, everything. So I tried to be as close to a Lego purist on that as I could, but as you'll see as we get into a few more of these, with the TV, particularly the TV Western people and stuff that I'm going to talk about, you'll see that I had to make stickers but the faces are all pretty close. Lego really have done a great job with the variety of faces and stuff, and I'm kind of behind the times. I haven't been able to buy a lot of new sets, so I know there's a lot of new faces and stuff out there. So eventually I'm gonna get stocked up on some newer faces and get back to buying more stuff on Bricklink. But for now, these guys are really pretty good. So we're gonna jump in. I'll move the camera down. So we were talking about Tombstone and Wyatt Earp and all of them last week, and it was getting kind of long, so I skipped. We talked about all the main people, but I did make, there were so many different cowboys and stuff that gained some fame that were involved in all of that, and so I've tried to make as many of them as I could think of. Let's see. I am missing. Oh, there he is. So, and part of this Tombstone, if you've seen the movie Tombstone with Kurt Russell, Michael Biehn, gosh, oh man, my brain, Sam, a ton of great actors, even Billy Bob Thornton, that some of y'all know. But anyway, so we're going to continue with some of the figures. We were talking about the Cowboys when I left off, and along with the two brother teams, there was a man by Johnny Ringo, and he was a pretty bad hombre. And that's a pretty good face of his. That's an older face. So, and then that's the same torso. I said in the other video that might have been a Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings, but that might be one of the Lone Rangers. And then of course you got the chaps on him too. I probably should give him more of a belt, because I don't know that they were called the Cowboys, but they weren't really into doing much cow work, and they rustled cattle. But beyond that, they didn't do a lot of cow hand work. And another one that figured prominently in all of that was a man named Curly Bill. And he ended up being involved with the posses and stuff that followed after the events at the OK Corral, and then Wyatt's brother being killed and the other one maimed. So this one is, like I say, this is Curly Bill, and he's pretty close. Some of these guys, there's not a lot of photos to work with, and especially on the clothing and stuff, I want some variety. It seems like most of the photos of them, they were dressed up a little bit, so they all have suits on. So to try and make it more like they would have been during a normal day. And this isn't like, if you look at Tombstone, he didn't dress like this. They had him in I think a red shirt and a bandana. But for me, as I mentioned in the last video, the important thing is trying to get the face to look right. And he had a pretty big bushy mustache. So these new mustaches that came out about the time I started making these figs was great. I think brown and black. I'm not sure, there may be even some newer colors now. So now, there was in Tombstone, and actually in real life, there was 3 cowboys that ended up, they initially were part of the Clanton gang early on, but then after things with the OK Corral and different things, they kind of joined up with Wyatt, because, you know, here's the thing with the Wild West, and I'm not going to get into the history too much, but even the lawmen in the Wild West, at one point, a lot of them were, even Wyatt Earp had been on the other side of the law. And so there was a fine line between, you know, crossing, and some of them would become law sheriff, and then they go back to criminal. You know, it was a wild time. It was a crazy time. And so you just, you got to look at what's there. So this is Jack Turkey Creek Johnson. And I did kind of model him after the Tombstone guy a little bit. He's really cool. That, I believe, is a CMF. No, that might be Lego Movie. The cowboy in the Lego Movie. I think that's his legs. And then that torso is an old Western or speed racer. Gosh, I wish I knew more. I'd have to do a lot of research to get totally accurate with y'all. But like I said, if you go into Bricklink and you start pulling up Speed Racer and looking through the torsos, and then Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, and just pull up the torsos and look through them, you'll see a lot of great Western-y type outfits. So, and then of course these older hats, the Johnny Thunder hat, and they come in brown and black. And then another one that switched sides was John Texas Jack Vermillion, and I gave him one of these swashbuckler hats. He had kind of a, and I think he probably, it was kind of worn about like that. So, and the cowboys initially, I don't know, in the Tombstone movie they all had the red scarf. I don't know how true that was. I need to do my homework on that. And if I do some history videos, I will definitely try and do more. This another, I think, Lego Movie cowboy. I think there was like 3 cowboy figures in the CMF series. And then that torso is probably Lone Ranger. So, and he's pretty close. I think there was pictures of him. And the last guy that we're going to talk about involved with that was a man by the name of Sherman Masters, and he's he's got a badge, but because I think he was a lawman at one time. But anyway, this is a Lone Ranger figure, and I believe the face too. It just happened to look kind of close to, and some of these guys I don't remember. There weren't photos of some of these guys, so I had to kind of make up things based on the movies. Now I say Tombstone, there are several other great movies about the OK Corral, and just for you film buffs, Western people, there's one that, Hour of the Gun, with James Garner playing Wyatt Earp, and for the life of me I can't think who plays Doc Holliday. But it is a great movie as far as getting into the backstory of what probably really happened. In fact, when the movie starts, it says this is the accurate telling of this thing, and it was a movie made back in the late 60s. So anyway, so now we're going to get away from Tombstone. One of the most famous probably cowboys you'll ever know is Buffalo Bill, and I gave him this nice white horse, and he's actually in my display. He's actually buffalo hunting, but that face is really good. This buffalo kind of hunting rifle, I think that was Brick Warriors. I used the Indian torso, one of the old original Indian Wild West torsos, and that's a Han Solo legs. But a lot of the guys, the Wild West guys, wore buckskins that, you know, were Indian, had the decorative and the stuff like that. So I thought that was far more appropriate for him, and kind of a nice look. Very pleased with him. And then, of course, probably one of the other, probably your most famous cowboys, and this is arguable at best, Buffalo Bill, Wyatt Earp, and, of course, Wild Bill Hickok. Now, had they not made, Lego not made the Lone Ranger sets, some of these guys would not have been possible, and this is one of them. That is from the Cavendish figure from the Lone Ranger, and it just worked perfectly for Wild Bill. That's actually, I used one of the torsos, and you probably recognize it from some of the other guys. That was the thing too. When I was making these, this is back in 2011, so a good 11 years ago, the Lone Ranger stuff had just come out. A lot of the Harry Potter stuff that I'm using now didn't exist yet. The Lord of the Rings, Hobbit was still, hadn't come out. I think either maybe some of it, but not, you know, as much. The Hobbit really, probably more so than Lord of the Rings, has furnished, oh, excuse me, a lot more of my torsos. And then Speed Racer, I didn't know about Speed Racer for a long time, and then I kind of found it. But there's probably a lot more newer stuff out there, and as I find it, I use it. But I'm very happy with him. He's got, of course, that's the Brick Warrior pistol as well. He probably needs two of them because he had two guns. And one of the guys, talking about using Sharpies to color the guns and make them look more realistic, so I may get into that. So I'm really happy. So this is Billy the Kid. If you look up Billy the Kid, that face is really good, really good. This one actually has a holster on the side. This is that, might be a Lone Ranger. I think this is Lone Ranger legs, but that is a Hobbit torso. But there is a very famous picture of Billy the Kid where he's holding a Winchester and that, and this looks, the whole figure here, that's pretty much what I based that on. So Billy the Kid turned out really well. Let's see, trying to keep this one shorter than, not necessarily known for the Wild West, but Teddy Roosevelt, who was our became president, he was very prominent in the Wild West, and he kind of was a cowboy at heart. But this guy, he just, as I was going through stuff and finding, I saw this head, and that was Teddy and his Rough Riders. I want to put together a little group of the Rough Riders, soldiers that were, you know, pretty much dressed like these uniforms and stuff. It was a private army that he created to go, I hope I'm saying that right, San Juan, down in San Juan Hill, the Battle of San Juan Hill in Cuba back in the late 1800s. But anyway, that figure just, it's like like Lego made him. So I had to put him together. He doesn't end up in my display. He's going to have to be a personal display, but some of a lot of you probably have heard of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. So of course I had to make them, and they're usually robbing the bank, which is something they did pretty frequent. And again, the faces look pretty good if you look at pictures. One of the main pictures, there was Butch and Sundance, and then their gang was the Wild Bunch. And I don't know the names right off the top of my head of the other group, but the one picture of all of them, they all have bowlers on, so I kind of went with that. Again, you're seeing some of the same torsos because they really worked well, and at the time that's what I had to work with. So eventually, now that there's newer stuff and I've discovered newer things, some of these guys might change a little bit. And then based on the picture of the Wild Bunch, I came up with the rest of the guys. Unfortunately, we had different color bowlers. So there's a, no, that's a Wild West torso. And then that might be Hobbit or Lord of the Rings. And this figure totally came out of the Lone Ranger set except for the face. And it's a basic face because I don't know, that guy must have just had a really basic face. So there's the Wild Bunch. I was holding them all, so I was showing me individually. There again, the Shaps. They're really cheap, so I have a lot of those. In fact, it looks like two of them have them. And we're gonna wrap this up. I didn't want this to be as long, but with 3 cowboys that are 4 that, well, these 2 you'll know, Frank and Jesse James. They had the James gang, and eventually I got to work because they worked with the Daltons and the Youngers. So there's a big group of them. I just haven't had time to really put those guys together. But let's see. There's Jesse, and that's really pretty close to Jesse. And then Frank, pretty close. There again, same torsos I kind of reused again. But, you know, on that note, fashion for these guys, you know, it was just a plain cotton shirt and a vest and all that. I mean, you know, it wasn't a lot of colors and stuff. So, you know, having the same outfit is not, it's the faces that make it and show you the difference. Clay Allison was an outlaw, more known in Texas, but he ended up on the good end. I think he ended up becoming a lawyer eventually, and died a very prominent man. I'm pretty sure about that. Like I said, I'm not getting into the history today, but again, Indiana Jones. And so I was very happy. This is Clay Allison. And then another cowboy, and I don't know, the name came up in something, and so I know nothing. Dan Tipton. And I think he might have been a cowboy here in Texas too. But so as I think of them, and there's a lot of them, like right off the top of my head, I'm Tom Horn. I don't have a Tom Horn figure. He was I think he was into the 1900s. He was a cowboy. He ended up getting hanged wrongfully, I believe. He got caught up in something. But anyway, I don't have him. So there's a lot of them that, you know, some of y'all may know. And please, in the comments, if you know of someone that you think would be cool, or someone I missed, and it's anything. I mean, women, as you're going to see, I've done the same as best I could with the Native American chiefs. Of all the Apaches were kind of my favorite, for a lot of reasons that I won't go into today. But, you know, I've got, of course, I got the Cheyenne and Crazy Horse and Sitting Bull because I've got a Custer figure. So, I mean, I've got a lot that I haven't covered here yet. So if you think of more, put it in the comments, and I will gladly. We're going to have one day, I think I'm just going to talk about some of the movie figures I've come up with. I just having a lot of fun, and there's a lot to work with. And eventually I want to do smaller scenes, displays and stuff instead of that one big display. Because Western, or the Old West, it's not taught in school. And so a lot of these kids are missing out on some really fun, well, it was a dangerous, rough time, hard times. So nothing fun about it, but it's a very interesting, and I mean, these guys were the trailblazers. They made this country. They got it going where it is. I mean, they were you know, just was a continuation of the frontiersmen. And, you know, like I said in a video a while back, that my 15th great grandfather was on the Mayflower, Isaac Allerton. You can look him up. Not a lot on him, but that he did exist, and he was one of the initial Mayflower people, but you know, these guys, I've got Daniel Boone, Davy Crockett, Kit Carson, the Frontier. So I got a lot of guys to share. I mean, this will be these videos just, I don't want to make a bajillion of them, but I don't hate that they're getting so long. So with that, I'm going to sign off, and you may see me live this week. I'm at Philly Brick Fest, and yeah, Philly Brick, not Brick Fest, sorry, Brick Fair, and it's Exton, PA. This is the first time Todd's been there, so we're having a good time, and I'm going to try and get some, on Friday, get some live video of everything going on, and so you can see stuff. So with that, I appreciate y'all, and just keep coming back, and I'll keep giving you all I got. Love y'all. Have a great one.